Hi, welcome again to today's tutorial. My name is Dr. Jude Ejepu, and today we're going to be looking at how we are going to be downloading some freely available data sets in several websites. Most times when you're given a project, you may not have all the data sets you need to actually complete that project. And sometimes acquiring data sets are kind of expensive and all that, but if you know your way around, there are so many data sets that are hosted out there on the web that you can freely download. And now another thing is these data sets can vary from humanitarian data sets to geoscientific data sets and all that. So today we're going to be looking at a very few of the ones that I use. This list is not in any way exhaustive, but we'll walk through, and with this I believe that you can get as many data that you wish to get as possible. So the first one is the one in ArcGIS Hub, and we are using this hub.arcgis.com, and it is here. So in this ArcGIS Hub, you can have access to different gold mines. In fact, this ArcGIS is a hidden gold mine for free GIS data. For example, it houses over 500,000 open data sets from more than 5,000 organizations worldwide. So this reason, it is a very rich data site where you can have some data. So like sometimes you may have this data, or you may have to sift through, you may have to just search to actually get what you need. But the good thing about this ArcGIS Hub is that it has a lot of data from several organizations, and it is of course managed by the largest commercial GIS organization in the world, which is the ArcGIS. So in this place you can download data in spreadsheet formats, in KML, and in shapefile format, even formats that you can open directly using your ArcGIS Pro or ArcGIS desktop. So in this case, we can just search for maybe soil data. Let's just say we search for soil. Sometimes you may need to sign in to have the full feature here. So let me sign in, so that, because it's always important that you actually sign in. It's always better for you to do that, because you will get the full access to whichever data set that you need. So I'm now signed in, and here we are. We can always access some of our data. So let's go back here. Now that I'm signed in, we can now click this to get access to some very, very rich data set. So maybe we search for maybe soil data, and we can filter that further if we put something like Nigeria in the search. So let's put Nigeria, for example, so that we'll see if we can have soil data in Nigeria. So we have something like this. This is Nigerian soils data. So for example, if you want to do some analysis and interpretation, maybe you want to do maybe groundwater mapping and all that, you may need soil data, and this is where you can get soil data. So look at how the data layers that you can find using this particular site. So, and you see you have some information about it. You can see all this, so you can check on each of them and download them. And in fact, this is very, very good. So you can even open it on ArcGIS Online. You can view the data source and do a lot of things. So there are several data sets that are here. These are other related data sets. But for example, if we want to click on this one, Legacy Soils and National Surveys, this will take us to an area where we'll see some rich data sets. So this one is for the whole of Nigeria. So you can view the table, you can do a lot of things with it, and of course you can filter the data, you can view the full details, and probably download the data set. So now this particular thing is downloading. We can use that. Sometimes this website, so you can download it as a CSV, you can download it as a KML, you can download it as a shapefile. That is the beauty of this ArcGIS Hub. Now, what I've shown you is not just, it can do a lot more. You can create a map, you can open it in story map. You can do a lot of things with it, but right now we're just limited to showing you that you can actually get fully featured data sets here. So we'll go to the next one, and the next one is the natural earth. So if you do a Google search on the naturalearthdata.com, I already have it open. So this natural earth data, you can have access to a lot of data sets at several resolutions. So, and because most times this the data is presented to you in such a way that is cartographically pleasing, because a lot of cultural and physical vectors data sets on a global scale are available to you for you to download and use, and this can also come in form of a raster. So this thing is, we can have this data at 10 meters, which is the large scale. The medium scale is at 1 to 50 meters, and the small scale is at 110 meters. So all these data sets for a global scale, you can download them as rasters, and once you click on it, you have some array of choices to make here. So you can see this one is the satellite derived land cover data and shaded relief presented. So this is like an already made map, kind of, which is cartographically pleasing and at a standard cartography setting. So we can download shaded relief maps and all that. So this is the company that supports this particular site. So once you click on any of them, you'll be taken to the site where you may have to download. And for example, if you want to download a small size, it's about 39 megabytes. If we want to download it with shaded relief and water, we have about 84 megabytes to download. So this is natural earth data, where you can have a cartographically pleasing data set to choose from in your project. So, and another website that is fully featured is the USGS website, and is the LPDAAC and .usgs.gov. Now, this LPDAAC is a host to a lot of data warehouses. Now, there are several data which you can get here. If you go to this place, you can search the data catalog. You can view all the data that is available here. There are tons of them. You know, in this place, you can search the catalog and all that. So you can click on getting started with data here. You will get to see a lot of them. But in this case, we can go here and see and view all the tools that we have. Now, in this case, it will have access to several different websites where you can download some data. For example, this appears. You see, it provides data for the exploration of different varieties. So if we click on it and launch the appears, you will get to see a lot of tools that you can use to download various forms of data. And now that it's open, the thing is that we need to sign in for us to use this thing. If you cannot sign in, that means you need to register. You go here and register. But now that I've registered, you can now click on login, and it will redirect you to the site where you now can do a lot of things. So in this place, we have geospatial data sets, we have point samples, we have area samples. A click on the geospatial data sets will show you some of the data sets that are available. For example, you have Aquamodis, you have the ASTA Global Digital Elevation Model. You can download SRTM from here. We have the SRTM one, that is the 30 meters resolution of SRTM. If you click it, it will take you to a place where you can now download it. So if you click on access data, you can now download using these different sets of tools. And then we can still, from here again, we can still go back and get to the LPDAC. Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's go to this place. All right, so we can go back to the USGS website and go to LPDAAC. Why is it not coming? Let's go to LPDAAC. Let's go back here. Shortcuts. LPDAAC. This is the homepage.us.gov. So we are going back here. So we are viewing all the tools that we have. So like I said, we have several tools. And in another, we can do the NASA Earth data search. So I will implore you to like play around with it. But the one I want to zero in is the USGS Earth Explorer here. From here, you can get to download a lot of different data sets that you may be needing for your work. In this case, you need to log in, like I said. Of course, I have been logged in, and that's why you are seeing this login, because if you don't log in, you cannot do much. So in this case, you need to enter your search criteria. Now you can enter your search area by either using the geocoder, or you can choose the option of using KML or shapefile. In this case, we can choose to use a shapefile. But remember, in your shapefile, you need to have all your data zipped up. For example, I can show you an example of what we did. For example, this is an example of a shapefile that we have. If you click and choose all this shapefile, because all these are needed to actually go there, you now use 7-zip and you zip it up. I use 7-zip. You can use WinZip or any of these zip software that you can have. You say add to shp.zip. We already have it here. So let's go back to this site, and we are choosing to select the file so that we'll browse to the place where we have it, and it is here. We check it and click open. Now it will upload this particular zip shape and get us to where we need to be. So this is the area where we have zipped, and this is the search where we have to concentrate on and get our searches. So now that we have our area all squared out, you can now go and see your date range. Which dates do you want this data to come from? So let's say, assume that we want this data from 2020, from February, 1st of February, down to here, March. We need 2020. We need it end of March. You can also select whatever you want, and then these are the thing. And this search months we're choosing all. You can choose to select in different places. Now that we have given it the criteria that we need to like click on this place. What is the range of the cloud cover that we need? Cloud is not always a very good thing, but now we can say let us get cloud between the range of 0 and 10%. And if you have unknown cloud cover values, exclude them from our data set. Now that we have selected that, we'll go to result option. How many results do we want per page? In case I can choose 25 or anything. So we now go to data sets. So in these data sets, you have a range of several data that you can download. You have the aerial imagery, digital elevation, where you see different digital elevation models that you can download. But in this case, I want to give an example using the Landsat. In the Landsat, you go to Landsat Collection 1, Landsat Collection 1, and we have the analysis ready data sets. That's not what we need. We need this Landsat Collection Level 1, where we can have, if we download it, we can perform several analysis and processing too. So we need this Landsat 8 or OLI. So it's telling us that with effects to 2021, because starting January 2022, all these ones will be collected into the collection 2. That is not our problem right now. Our problem is getting this data. Now that we have all this, if we have any additional criteria that we want to add, for example, like the path, the row, and all those land cloud cover, the scene cloud cover, and all that, we can always check all this. But for now, for demonstration purposes, we don't need to do that. Let's just leave it and click on results. Now that we have clicked on results, it will bring out some of these results for us. So now if we want to see the footprint, that's the area where it covers, we can just click here. It will show you the area where it is covering, and this is the area. That's the Landsat scene, one of the Landsat scene that is here. So if whatever you have chosen is okay by you and you like what you are seeing, sometimes you may need to download much more than one data set. For example, this other side is in the same area, this other side is at this other point. So in case you need to download more than one set of data, you can also click all this. So this is the available data set that it has shown us. So but now we'll now go back and say, okay, this is okay for us, but then I want to download this. You can use the bulk download button here, but that is not what we need now. You can just directly download this place. If you click on this button, this appears. So you can just download only the natural look image. This for visualization purposes. You can have a look at the thermal image. You can look at the quality of the image. But in all sense, all we need to do is to download this data. But before then, we can also check the metadata of this particular data that we have here. In this metadata, look at what is showing us. So if we look at the attribute table, we will see that look at the acquisition date of this particular data, look at the collection category, look at the part, look at the row, look at all this information here. It is a daytime data, and we have 4 ground control points. So I'm looking at where we will see the percentage of the cloud. Let's go up here and see where is the cloud cover. Go down, land cloud cover. The cloud cover is 0.38%, and the sync cloud cover is 0.38, which is very, very good. Another thing to look out for is the sun elevation angle. I hope we're going to be able to see it now that I am in a bit of a hurry. Okay, let's go. We need it to be high at least. Okay, sun elevation, we need it to be at least 50 degrees, and now it's 54. So this image is actually very perfect for our needs. So now that we have confirmed that this image is okay for our needs, we can now click on this download option. Look at the size. This one downloads everything, both the GeoTIFF and all the information you need. And this is about 902 megabytes. So you click on download and it will start downloading. This is just an example for Landsat. You can do that, like I said, when we go to the collection, you will see a lot of options that you can choose from. So this is just one of the examples that I will give on Earth Explorer. In all subsequent videos, we can also talk about the various data you can actually download from here. So another very important data source is the OpenStreetMap. The OpenStreetMap is a crowdsourced kind of map that has information about maybe roads, locations, and all that. So now the result of this crowdsourcing is that we end up having highly detailed data. Because, for example, anyone can choose to do this. You can go ahead and contribute to this particular data set. So it means that somehow we should use it with caution, because the accuracy of this particular data set is determined by the people that actually collected it. So, but if you're a GIS analyst that is seeking from free GIS data on a street level, this OSM is exactly what you're looking for, because it shows you inventory of buildings, streets, roads, and all this. One of the great advantages is that it is highly detailed GIS data with different level of accuracy and completeness. So these data types will come such as buildings, roads, waterways, settlement points, and all that. So you can search for a particular place. In this case, I've searched for Mina. If you go to it, will show you the size. So all you need to do is to zoom this map to the area where you need it to be and click on export. Now the export will show you the highest latitude, the least latitude, the least longitude, and the highest longitude. If this is not what you want, you can manually give it a particular coordinate that you need. For example, if we need this to be 9.5 and we need this to be 9.0, and if assuming that we say this is 6.5 and this is 7.0, you know, so this is what we have. This covers this area. If this is not enough, you can also manually drag it. So you have a choice of doing anything you need to do, and you now click on export. This export will now export this data as an OSM. QGIS and ArcGIS has the ability to open these OSM data types. So, and that ends it for OpenStreetMap. Of course, you can do a lot of other things other than this that I've showed you, but the idea is to know that you can actually get some data. In subsequent activities that we're going to have, I'm going to show you how we can download this OSM data, use it for our purposes. So Another particular data that we're going to be looking at is the Open Topography data type. So if we click on Open Topography, it goes to this Open Topography home where we have this thing. So Open Topography is a data site, a data GIS data warehouse where you can actually download a lot of data types, because the Open Topography has very high resolution data sets. It has some LiDAR data, but this particular place is especially in the United States, and it has the global DEM data. You know, one of the advantages is that you can select any regions of the world and search for available LiDAR. We don't have LiDAR around Nigeria that is available, but then you can also do a lot of things. So we can go to this place and you can go on find data. The next thing you're going to do is just to navigate to where you are interested in and zoom into it. So for example, if we're interested, I'm using Mina as an example. So you have Mina here. For example, all you need to do is to click on this button to actually select a place. So if we do this and select this place, now we have several available data sets. For example, if you look at this OT high resolution topography, it is not available for this region. This point cloud, that is for the LiDAR data, it is not available for this portion of the world. And this community contributed data, we have this geomorphometric layer, which you can use if you are doing something that concerns geomorphology. So you can actually get this data. It's at 90-meter resolution. And if not the case, and you need global and regional DEM, it has several types. It has the Copernicus, it has the NASA, but the one that seems to be appealing most is this SRTM global data. You can now click on this SRTM global data 1, that is the 30-meter resolution. You can read up on this particular information. So what you are going to do is when you go down, you can choose to download this particular data in different formats. It has the ASCII grade, it has the GeoTIFF, that is georeference tag image file format. This is good enough. And you can now choose the different visualizations that you may need, hill shading and all that. We'll come to this, but this time around it's not needed. You can leave the visualization out. You can now say, okay, do you want some hydrologic terrain analysis products from this data? If you need it, then of course you say it's for registered users, then you need to sign in and do it. But this is a process you can do with available software, so you don't need to. So finally, you need to create a name for this job title. You know, maybe you just give it a name, download, and the job description. You see, you can give it anything you want, maybe download, and enter your email address. Once you enter your email address, this thing can now click on submit, and of course it will get you the data that you need. Also, there are several resources that are here. You can also learn how to use the tool registry, the OT software. There is a software, the Open Topography software that you can use. And of course, you can learn some things. There are several workshops and online training that you can actually have access to. So these are the kind of trainings that you have access to, and you can just get them for free. So that ends it on Open Topography. So another one is the Open Land Map. Open Land Map is another source of rich data. Open Land Map, a Google search will give you some of this information. So in Open Land Map, the idea for this Open Land Map is such that you can get very good data from this Open Land Map. It's actually a very good place where you can download several types of data. So we're not going to spend much on this. It's just that when you come, you can also download land cover images for the entire world. You know, so you can zoom in into where you need to zoom in into and actually try to maybe create a particular scene where you need it. And of course, one good thing about this place also is that it can have a time lapse, a particular this thing about the changes that is happening around there. So you can look at several things here and see if you can download this particular layer and all that. So the resolution is 250 meters, but then this works well if you are working with land cover data. And another one is where you have hydro. Okay, let's not talk about that for now. Maybe, okay, let's go to another source of rich data, and that is the FAO. And the website is data.apps.fao.org. So this is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. They host a lot of these data, ranging from geoscientific data to several. So you can come here and explore for these data sets. So you have food security, you have crops and vegetation, you have for land, water, climate, all sorts of data. If we click on land, look at the kind of things you have access to. You have access to downloading soil types. For example, you can have access to download harmonized world soil database. You can have several other layers where you can download some of these images. Some of these data sets. So if you, for example, click on this, you can have access to different data sets that you can have here. So this is all the data for soil that you can have. And if you are not interested in soil, you are interested in land cover, it has the land cover for several places. For example, in Africa at 100 meters. So this thing that you can have access to several places, when you get there, you can also click and download these data sets. For example, we have this information about this particular place. So the idea is you have this rich data set from this FAO.org. Several types of data. You can have access to water, hydrologic basins. You have the hydrologic basins of Africa. Here it shows you the different hydrologic basins that you can have in Africa, several of them. So once you add these things, you can now see the several hydrologic basins that you have in Nigeria. So with that, you can also do a lot of things. You can annotate this map. You can use a slider and make a side-by-side comparison. You can measure some distances. You can do a lot of things. You can share this particular map. You can print it, and you can download all this data. So that's one good thing about this particular site. Another one is the Google Earth. I know most of us are kind of used to it, and you can go freely and download Google Earth, the particular software, and install it. So here it gives you access to several information. Here you can get access to all this information where you can do a lot of analysis. For example, or checking all these places will give you access to different forms of information. But that is not the case where we have to explain. This is just to show you that you can also use Google Earth data for some of this. So there are some other places where you get some kind of climatic data sets, where you have access to some climatic data set, maybe World Clim, where you have a global climatic data at very good resolution. So this particular data is if you want to do some hydrometeorological kind of data, you can click on the download, and you see the option to download historical climate data. You can do historical monthly weather data for several years. It houses, like this is from 1960 to 1969. So this is global data sets where you can. There are other sites where you can download some of these hydrometeorological data sets, but that is not the import. So the import of this particular tutorial is to show you that there are several sites where you can download some of these data sets. So there are several. So my own encouragement to you is that explore, search. You can see another one. Even the BGS is another site. So like I said, this where you can have data is so much that British Geological Survey that the list cannot be exhaustible in just one day. So in this BGS, you can have access to several forms of data. There are so many hydrogeological data, rock, soil, borehole cores, mineral. In fact, there are several data that you can actually download from here. So you can explore the data sets. There are several of them. So you say all areas, purposes, if you want energy, land, sea, water, for example, you have all this at your fingertips. So you can download the groundwater vulnerability data. For example, this is for England and Wales. You can see some of this data for the places where you may that you'll be interested in. So I guess this has really become as much exhaustible as I can do it for now. And in subsequent videos, if I have some several data sites where I can share with you, and you use it for your GIS project. I hope this has been useful. So bye for now.